Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of Clarinets, Cats, and Coffee. I'm going to show you an excerpt here on the screen, and I want you to imagine what would be some of the main differences you would hear between professional and a pretty decent amateur player. Some of the things that may come to mind when you're thinking about the difference between some of your favorite world-class players and maybe yourself would be tonguing fast, right? Fingers fast, all fast. This music isn't fast though, so how do we really make something like this sound very high level? Now, I believe that all of us have the ability to make something very easy, very simple like this sound as beautiful as the best players in the entire world. Now, many amateur players, younger players, I've been there as well, would look at something like this and think, okay, this is easy. I got the notes, got the rhythm. I don't really even need to practice this. I've heard this many times from students. I only practice this maybe once, and then they play it for me. This is what I would call button pushing, okay? We're satisfied with playing notes, rhythms. We're just pushing buttons. But we're missing out on all of this depth of expression and communication when our baseline of what is good enough is just pushing buttons. It's the one thing that will keep young players from really making it to the next level of their musicianship. You can compare that to putting a movie script into a computer and listening to a emotionless computer voice read through it. Now compare that to what a professional would do, or an excellent, really high-level playing amateur. They would look at this and they would probably add some note shaping, some dynamic shaping, more than what's on the page, and find those moments of tension and release and really commit musically to communicating and exaggerating these ideas. So the difference here would be handing that movie script to actors and listening to them emote what is in the script. Now, being stuck in button pushing technique mode isn't necessarily all our fault, right? When we're young and when we're first learning our instrument, it takes years to really get the basics down. We've got to have a lot of experience to get a basic grasp, understanding, and kind of mental map of how to play our instrument. So we spend a lot of time doing scales, etudes, studies. So we tend to end up reaching a point where we maybe go into our private lesson with our teacher and we're like, great, this is easy, I got this, and you're prepared to play through a whole piece and get some feedback. Then you find you're playing the first two measures of the Mozart Clarinet Concerto for an hour. Now the good news is you don't have to be a pro to sound like a pro. Sure, keep on working on that technique, that tonguing, the fingers. We all have our limits and we'll reach them at some point and we'll continue to try to push past them. But in simpler, easier music, there's still a whole depth of expression and communication that we can achieve at a very early part in our musical training. So the number one thing you have to keep in mind is to always play expressively, always try to look deeper into the music. So take this video as an opportunity to write down 6 of my top tips to add more depth and expression into your music. The first thing I recommend, I've alluded to a couple of times already in this video, learn about the composer, learn about the style, even the decade in which the music was written, the genre. Anything that can better inform you as to how to play the right note lengths, where to add rubato into the music, all of those subtleties that go into making your music sound more stylistically appropriate goes along with learning about the composer and the history. You can also gain this knowledge by studying music with an instructor and getting feedback. Number 2, every note that you play must have shape and purpose in the phrase. Even if you have a single note in a measure, that note has greater purpose than just booping it. You gotta get the style right. So, every note has shape, every note has purpose. Number 3, identify the points of tension and release in your music and do something with it. Where is the most tender moment? Where is the most intense moment? Does this music ever sound delicate? Does it ever sound powerful? That's for you to determine when you take a deep dive into whatever piece you're learning. Number 4, you can also use the color and the timbre of your sound, of the tone itself, to communicate through your music. It's like somebody speaking and changing how rough or how soft their voice is when they're talking to you to make a point. Some of these things are in our music indicated by staccato, accent, things like that, but you can also make decisions for yourself about where those moments of tension are and release are, and you can change the color of your sound to better communicate those things. 5, over-exaggerate your dynamics to communicate these musical ideas even better. Now, this is something all teachers are going to say, all conductors are going to say, anybody giving anybody else feedback is going to say. It's just a universal truth, and it's something that all of us should do better. And finally, tip number 6, this goes along with 5, give your dynamics adjectives to describe them instead of just thinking loud and soft. For example, pianissimo, think about it sounding more delicate, gentle. Think about fortissimo, being powerful and strong. And then all of the dynamics in between may have any variation of adjectives to describe them based on the piece you're playing, the context within history, the composer. So I hope these tips help you guys get to the next level of your musicality. And I hope it inspires you. We all have the capacity to be expressive musicians, regardless if we are 9 years old or 99 years old. If we play our music mindfully and we commit to musical interpretation, we can really touch people. And that's really all what it's about, right? Thank you all so much for watching. If you like learning from me, I have a whole list below of different ways you can support my channel. You can also take lessons with me, and there are a myriad of ways to support this channel that I create myself to help bring clarinet ideas and teaching to the world. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, a good week next week, and as always, happy practicing.